Hello, everybody, and it is another episode of the what is it? I don't even know what this is called. I guess the Unequal Raising Project. That's what I'm calling it. Okay, so today we are talking about gratitude, right? And why it is probably the most important feeling slash principle you could apply to your life and will totally change anything. Because gratitude is it's the it's one of the highest vibrating emotions, right? Now, if you guys know the Hawkins scale, which I'll probably put up here on the video, right? The Hawkins scale is a scale of feelings, and one of the highest vibrating feelings is gratitude. And so when you feel gratitude, it is the emotion that compels creative movement. It's what makes life better, right? Because gratitude is what we do when we feel things are good, right? Oftentimes when people say they feel like they love something, what they're really saying is that they feel grateful for something. They're feeling the gratitude for that thing, right? Now, gratitude, because it is so important, it's one of the three central laws. After you have the law of mercy and the law of love, the next law right after that is the law of gratitude, because it is only when gratitude is given that you can fully have this expansion of creation. Now, one part of that expansion and creation with gratitude is you have to understand that gratitude, a lot of the time people think is something that's retroactive, but it's something that can be done proactively, and that's what a lot of this law talks about. So first off, let's just read what the law of gratitude actually is. And it's kind of got a weird explanation here in Cosmic Laws of Awareness, but stick with me and I'll explain how it works, right? So it says this. It says, the law of gratitude is that sense of satisfaction in knowing that energy which has been given rescues its certain reward according to its nature, receives its certain reward according to its nature. Energy that is given moves out on that curved and unequal line, and when extended far enough, only returns to its source bearing its appropriate gifts. Now, you might say, like, what does it mean bending out on that far and unequal line? Well, a good example is gratitude is given retroactively. For instance, when you say thank you, right, and I feel grateful for something, what's happening is that something has been done for you. Let's say I needed food and someone gave me an apple, right? So because I received this apple, I'm saying thank you and I'm feeling grateful for it. Now, there's a couple things I need to be mindful of. That apple had to go through a huge process of getting to me. Let's say someone got it from a supermarket, right? Now, that apple came from a tree, and that tree was planted from the ground, and it grew, and so all this energy was put into getting that apple. And then from that apple, it was put on a truck, and then that truck was shipped or drove across the country and then came to me, right? And then I eventually was able to eat that. This guy's just staring at me. And so we see that all this work, all this energy was put for us to receive that apple, right? Now, one part you need to understand is the unequal line is all this work, all this energy was put out before I could recognize the apple being given to me in that moment, because the point of reception was me being hungry and getting it, right? And that's oftentimes how we think of gratitude. But if we think of gratitude, recognizing that emotion is energy in motion, right? We recognize that gratitude is a creative energy, and it's a feeling that can be received when goodness is apparent, right? When goodness is being grown. So you can do gratitude in a proactive sense, right? It's not only a reactive emotion, but something that can be done proactively. And so a lot of times, if you read books like The Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, and The Secret, The Law of Attraction, things of that nature, they'll talk about feeling grateful or imagining you already have it. This is gratitude in the proactive sense at play, because what you're doing is you're being grateful and you're feeling the sense of receiving that thing before you have it, right? You're being proactive with that gratitude. Now, this takes a tremendous amount of energy, especially if you don't have that thing, right? So let's say, for instance, I want to have 10,000 subscribers, right? And I'm working hard and I only have 10 subscribers. So I have to get 1,000 times more than that, right? So I can do 1,000 times more work, but it can take a long time if I'm thinking about that work in terms of time, right? Because I have, let's see, at the time of making this, I have something like 70 videos up, but with those 70 videos, right, if I had to do 1,000 times that, that's 7,000 videos. But I'm probably not going to make 7,000 videos by the time I get to 10,000 subscribers. So the unequal line is this curve, right? It's the exponential curve of how things grow and compound with effort and energy as we put the energy into them, right? So if you understand that gratitude, it's feeling grateful and just being happy with the process of whatever you're doing. That's why oftentimes you'll see a lot of great teachers talk about the journey instead of the reward. And the reason for that is not because the reward is unimportant, but when you act as though you already have it and you are grateful for it, that loving energy builds and compounds, and that energetically charges you to be more creative, to not be so results focused, right? And then because you're always moving forward as though you've already received this thing, it must in turn then come into reality. And that is one of the biggest principles, and that's the unequal line. Now, you see this practically in nature in, say, someone is planting a seed into the ground, right? They water it and they give it nutrition through the soil, and it's getting sunlight. But there's all this energy and all this work. An unequal amount of work is being put in before the seed does anything. And then eventually it sprouts out of the ground, it becomes a tree, and then before you know it, that tree is giving off fruit. And then once a tree is full grown and able to do that, it doesn't need nearly as much nutrition, at least as it did in the beginning, because it's able to fend it for itself and able to get it. And so as a result, it's still able to produce fruit and do the things it needs, but it's not as demanding on the environment. And that's the unequal line again. So we see, if we understand that gratitude is sort of this central energetic source coming from the grand intelligence, the awareness of the universe, we see that this energy is what gives the universe its power. It's what allows us to be fully present in our work. This now, you ask, how's this important for a writer? Well, as a writer, why it's so important to be grateful for the process, being grateful for your books, being grateful for the stories you have, because it's only through that process you're going to be able to get it done and do what you want, right? A lot of the times what's holding you back as a writer especially is if you're hesitating on constantly second guessing your story or trying to edit things and make it perfect before you get it all the way done. What it means is you're putting in all this work, right? But you haven't actually finished and gone through and complete anything. Now, it might be an unequal curved line, but recognizing that there's a process of how all these things go. So for instance, there's an incredible amount of energy that can go into watering a seed, right, that's sitting on the top of a hard ground, right? Like I'm on a boardwalk. If I were to just put a seed on that boardwalk and start pouring water on it, it wouldn't grow because there's a central component that's not there, and that's the soil. And so we see that just energy alone is not enough. It's making sure you're doing that energy in the right and correct way. And so that's one of the biggest things we have to learn and sort of process as we're moving forward and understanding gratitude. That it's good to be grateful for things, right? But you don't want to be grateful for the wrong things or spend your time and energy placing this gratitude in the wrong hands, because that energy, that proper feeling, it has to be used for productive things. And so I don't know if that's making any sense, but essentially what I'm saying is, if you can cultivate the feeling of gratitude and you think of it as watering a seed and making sure the environment is set right for you, you inevitably will grow. That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. And so being proactive with your gratitude, imagining you have the thing and being grateful for the thing as though it's already there for your goals and your dreams, then you're simply watering it, and it's inevitable that it'll come. Because remember, an apple seed is a tree that just hasn't grown yet. And for all of you who have books or want to become an author, you are the seed. You are an aspiring author. An aspiring author is an author who hasn't grown yet. So if you water yourself and you plant yourself with gratitude, that unequal line of energy, you're going to put so much more in, but then later on, the dream will manifest and build around you. It'll support itself from the outside. But especially as a creator, remember, as a creator, we are starting internally. We're starting from the inside out. So from your story ideas to the way you view yourself to the way you want to see your life, you have to work to see it inside of you first, and you have to really feel it and think it and be grateful for it. And as you cultivate that feeling of gratitude, it will then manifest outwards. And so for a practical idea, 6 weeks ago I came to, and actually it's only been 5 weeks. 5 weeks ago I came to San Sebastian, had no idea where I was going to stay, and I was bouncing around, and when I came and walked this boardwalk for the first time, I was towing a bunch of bags around, and I was trying to find a place to put them. Now, when I went to the hotel, I had to go back to the train station and buy a locker, and I put it all in there. And I was looking for a place to stay. And on my way back, I was able to find a place to stay, but they didn't have any room. So I sat there in the lobby using the Wi-Fi, looking for another hostel. And then wouldn't you know that someone canceled while I was sitting there. And this is an example, whereas the whole time when I came here, even though I didn't know where I was going to stay, I didn't know what I was going to do, I just knew for certain that I was going to find what I needed to, and that I was going to get the things that I needed to do. And it certainly hasn't been easy. It's been a long journey, and I've had to make a lot of difficult decisions. I promise you, though, that if you can be grateful for even the hard things in your life, they will only grow into more abundance. And that unequal line is absolutely true. And then one day, things that you have to think about and push and really strive to do will come easily. A good example is, for the longest time, was trying to do Duolingo as well. I was always trying to learn Spanish on Duolingo, and I could never get more than a couple days streak, and I would give up. And eventually, after figuring it out, one day it just clicked because I kept trying, and now I'm on day 416, something like that. I had my Duolingo streak recently reset, and I was super bummed, but then I started it on a different iPad, and it was set to a different time zone, and that's actually what allowed me to continue my streak, so I'm super grateful for that. And yeah, so good things happen if you're grateful and you are proactive about that gratitude and making sure that energy moves forward. So thanks everybody for listening. Like and subscribe if you found and learned something new. And yeah, remember the law of gratitude. It's one of the 3 central laws, and if you apply it, the inner world, the narrative world within you, will manifest in the waking world around you, because that's the central point of creation, is the narrative world within you. So be grateful for that, and the rest will come. Thanks guys, take care, and remember, stay happy, stay healthy. Like and subscribe.